Mr. President, I'd like to thank Senator Brown for his continued leadership in the fight to protect our federal workforce and for organizing this time for us to speak on such an important issue. Over the past year and a half, Donald Trump and his administration have launched a concerted attack on federal workers and the unions that fight on their behalf. There appear to be no lengths to which Donald Trump and the anti-union moneyed interests who support him will go to attack and try to eviscerate protections for working people. Here are some examples. In one of his first acts in office, Donald Trump instituted an across-the-board federal hiring freeze that impacted the work of critical agencies such as the Veterans Administration, State Department, and Department of Defense. Then the president appointed Neil Gorsuch to join the anti-worker majority on the Supreme Court. This decision paid off when Justice Gorsuch provided the decisive vote intended to gut public sector unions in Janus versus AFSCME. And as a side note, Mark Janus, the public employee who served as the front man for the Koch brothers in this landmark Janus case, has left his job with the Illinois Department of Health Care and Family Services and now works for the Koch brothers. A coincidence? I think not. The administration has demoted or reassigned dozens of senior agency leaders tasked with serving our veterans and protecting our environment. The president has left thousands of critical positions across the government unfilled. He has presented a legislative program as well. The president's fiscal year 2019 budget proposes to freeze federal worker wages, slash their benefits, and undermine their rights in the workplace. And in late May, as mentioned, the president issued 3 executive orders that weaken long-standing and hard-won rights and protections for federal workers. Each of these actions are part of a focused, radical effort to shrink the federal government and limit its ability to help hundreds of millions of people across our country. Donald Trump and the Republican Party obviously do not recognize the service and commitment of our more than 2 million federal workers. But in Hawaii, and indeed across the nation, we see the impact of their hard work every single day. In Hawaii, federal workers provide critical health care to the tens of thousands of veterans living in our state. Federal workers service and repair our naval fleet at Pearl Harbor Naval Shipyard. Federal workers stand watch at the Pacific Tsunami Warning Center. And hundreds of federal employees across 17 agencies are even now assisting our Hawaii Island community respond to and recover from the impact of the ongoing volcanic activity at Kilauea on the Big Island. In my visits to the Hawaii County Emergency Operations Center in Hilo and the Disaster Recovery Center in Ke'au, and to affected communities across Puna, I've seen the impact these workers are having firsthand. The Federal Emergency Management Agency is coordinating the overall response and recovery with federal, state, and county agencies. The U.S. Geological Survey's scientific experts are monitoring seismic activities and providing real-time updates to affected residents. And the affected residents are in the thousands. The Department of the Interior has provided technical assistance to protect Hawaii Island's natural and cultural resources. The Environmental Protection Agency has deployed experts to monitor air quality and provide timely alerts to county residents. The Department of Agriculture and the Small Business Administration are identifying resources and assisting affected farmers and small business owners. And the U.S. Coast Guard is monitoring and patrolling areas where lava is flowing into the ocean and enforcing safe parameters for fishing and recreational activity. These dedicated public servants have been working around the clock for months to support the Puna community. These workers deserve our respect, appreciation, and unwavering support for their service. They certainly don't deserve the contempt and animosity that Donald Trump and his administration have directed at them. The collective weight of this administration's anti-worker agenda is taking a toll on our federal workforce, needless to say. And the executive orders President Trump issued in May are already making things worse by undermining workers' rights to fair representation in the workplace. The president's first order directs agencies to reopen these are existing already bargained for, bargaining agreements with the intent of rushing through one-size-fits-all replacement agreements without an opportunity for labor to provide inputs. The president's second order severely restricts the ability of unions to protect workers from managerial retaliation, workplace discrimination, and sexual harassment. And the president's third order undermines traditional civil service protections intended to shield public servants from political retribution by making firing workers easier. Collectively, these executive orders sabotage the hard-fought gains federal workers have achieved through decades of organizing and collective bargaining at agencies throughout the federal government. This sabotage has a purpose: to make life so miserable for our federal workforce that they either quit their jobs or retire. The long-term damage that gutting our federal workforce would cause to our nation, economy, and communities is serious. And that's because, as Teddy Roosevelt recognized when he pushed for the first major federal civil service reform, he said a quality professional civil service is a bulwark against corruption and cronyism. Public servants uphold the law and promote the public interest. That includes holding big corporations accountable when they cheat consumers and pollute our environment. Is this why Donald Trump and his moneyed anti-union allies have such a fear of and disdain for our federal workers? Because they would rather be left unfettered by any government or regulatory oversight? Is that what's going on? How else can we explain the president's focused and vicious attacks on federal employees, which ignore the work that they do to protect the health, safety, and welfare of the people of our country every single day? These are not normal times. It is not normal for the president and his allies to go after our federal employees in this way. It's not normal, and it's up to each of us to resist this administration's coordinated attack on our federal workforce and the institutions that represent and protect them. I call on all of my colleagues to join me in this fight. I just do not understand what it is that motivates the president and his moneyed allies to try and tear apart the very workforce in our country that protects our health, safety, and welfare. I just don't get it. Mr. President, I yield the floor.